You're going to be deceived about the mark of the beast unless you get this. This series on the mark of the beast begins with a careful look at the text we will study. We need to understand exactly what the mark of the beast is. So to do this, we need to make sure that we thoroughly understand the text of the Bible, because some different versions out there are rendering this a different way, and you and I need to make sure that we are understanding this topic correctly. We begin by looking at Revelation 13 verse 17 in the modern and more classic translations. The King James Version says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of the name." The Bible here presents three distinct things: the mark, or the name, or the number of the name. The Young's Literal Translation, which was translated in 1862 from the received text, the same Greek text as the King James Version, reads this way: "And that no one may be able to buy or to sell except he who is having the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Here again, the Bible presents three distinct things: the mark or the name or the number of his name. Now here's where the confusion comes in. Let's take a look at the NIV version. "So that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name." Here, the Bible is telling us in this verse that the mark is equivalent to the name or the number. This is how it reads in the NIV. But in fact, there are many modern translations that read just the same way as the NIV text here. And as you can see, the meaning is clearly different from what we had just read in the King James Version. The New Living Translation reads this way: "And no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name." So here again, we have the mark being either the name or the number of the beast, the number of his name. So not three distinct things, but the mark being equal to one of two things. Now the English Standard Version, the ESV, puts it this way: "So that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name." So here again, the Bible is telling us in a modern version that the mark is equal to the name or the number of his name. So really, what is the mark? Are we to believe what the King James is telling us, that you can have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name? Or are we to believe these many other modern translations that are telling us that the mark is equivalent to the name of the beast or the number of its name? Which one is it? That's a bit confusing, isn't it? The meaning of these texts are clearly different. They cannot all be right. Now keep in mind that different translations come with different philosophies behind them. Some are word-for-word style translation, like the King James Version. Others are thought for thought, which provides a little bit more of an interpretive element because the translator is taking the thought and making sense of it and then putting it into words that would explain essentially the same idea, we hope. This thought for thought is known as the dynamic equivalent. It's changing, but it's supposed to mean essentially the same thing. The NIV follows this method, and a number of other translations are somewhere around that style as well. Finally, we have what's known as the paraphrase, and the paraphrase is the most loose translation of all. In a paraphrase Bible, you are getting large portions of text that are rephrased or reworded in the words of the translator, and he is essentially interpreting the idea of the text and putting it into his own words, his own ideas, essentially giving you the idea that is there, we hope. Some Bible translations are done by a single individual, and others are done by an entire committee of translators and reference the works of multiple translators. Obviously, it's helpful to have more eyes on a given translation. I personally recommend that you use a word-for-word style Bible translation when you are studying carefully the text of Scripture and of Bible prophecy. Use a word-for-word style translation and compare the Greek text or texts as you are able using available study tools. Online, there are many of these tools. Great apps like eSword help you to break down and compare the text that is found there. And there are helps to show you what the meaning of the words are, like a Bible concordance, which you can also find online today. Now, we're going to look at the primary Greek texts which underlay Revelation 13:17 in the various translations. We need to understand this so that we can get to the bottom of where does this difference lie. Is it merely in translation philosophy, or is this a difference in the Greek text? And if so, or whichever one it is, we want to make sure we understand it the right way. In addition to looking at Revelation 13:17, we will be looking at another contextual witness given in the book of Revelation to help us understand which of these readings is correct. So here are the primary Greek texts compared for Revelation 13 and verse 17. We begin with the TR, or Textus Receptus, from which the King James Version was translated. Kai hinemetis dunetai agorasai he polisai e me ho ekon to karagma. Now, the word ekon means having. To karagma means the mark. He is or. To onoma to therio, or the name of the beast. Therio is beast. Onoma is name. E ton arithmon to onomatos atu, which means, or the arithmon, which means the number, like arithmetic. To is a genitive possessive case of onomatos, meaning the name, atu, the name of him, his name. So the number of his name. So according to this Greek text, we have these three things. You must have the mark or the name or the number of his name. Three distinct things. Now the Byzantine Greek majority text reads this way. It says, ekon to koragma to onoma to therio. Now this is missing the a or the or here in the Byzantine majority Greek text. So it tells us there that you must have the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Westcott and Hort reads exactly the same way, missing that other or. And the standard Greek text today, based from the Nestle-Aland, is also missing that extra or after the word charagma or mark. But it does include a comma after the word mark. So in essence it reads, having the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And this, of course, is where many modern translations are taking some liberty with the text, because it does not have the other or written in here. So people are saying it's the mark, which is the name of the beast, even though which is not here in the text in any case, but it's being understood that maybe that was the reference that was in mind when people were writing this, instead of understanding that three distinct things are being talked about here in this verse. Now, the Codex Sinaiticus reads a little different from them all, but interestingly, it aligns theologically with what the Textus Receptus says, which is the basis for the King James. Very interesting, because that is many times not the case. The words here are a bit different, but in concept, it fully aligns with what the TR says in this particular case. For those who are wondering, the Vaticanus or Alexandrian text type aligns with Westcott and Hort and also with the majority text in this case, but not with the TR. But the Sinaiticus aligns with the TR in what it's teaching. It reads, ho ekon to koragma to therio. So, except one having the mark of the beast. So here it actually includes mark of the beast, which none of the other versions, Greek versions, do. In that case, they just say mark, and it's assumed that it's of the beast. So there's nothing theologically wrong with this. It is accurate, even though it is a variant from the other texts. It says, e to onomo atu, meaning, or the name of him, that is, or his name, e to arithmon to onomatos atu. So, or the arithmon is the number of his name. So here we have in the Sinaiticus, it actually includes or for each of those, showing three distinct things very clearly. So it agrees with the Textus Receptus, which might be a little bit unusual, but it's the case here in this verse. So which one of these is right? How are we to understand? The majority text is aligning with the Vatican text, and the TR is aligning with the Sinaiticus. Very interesting dynamic here. Now, it should be known that within the majority text there are certain variants, and the Textus Receptus draws a lot from the majority text generally. So most likely there was a variant within the majority text that aligns with the Textus Receptus, which is the basis of the King James. So again, how are we to know which one of these is precisely accurate? Well, that brings us to another witness in the book of Revelation. We're going to look at Revelation 14:11, and in Revelation 14:11, all of these Greek texts align precisely, giving us the exact same point, and it clarifies which of these readings is precisely accurate. So we need to go look at Revelation 14, verse 11. The King James reads in Revelation 14:11, "And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." Now, all the Greek texts and all the versions agree on this particular verse. It talks about the mark of his name. In the Greek, they all read, to charagma tu onomatos atu. In other words, the mark of the name of him, the mark of his name. The New International Version reads, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. The New Living Translation, and have accepted the mark of his name. English Standard Version says, whoever receives the mark of its name. So the mark cannot be the name or the number of its name. It's distinct, it's different, because the Bible calls it the mark of his name. It cannot be the mark of his name, but at the same time, his name. It must be distinct from the name, but related to it. There's the number of his name, that's distinct, but related to the name, and there's the mark of the name. It's distinct, but it's also related to the name. So we have the name, and we have the mark of his name, and we have the number of his name. All of these things relate to the name, but they are all distinct and all different. The mark, the name, and the number of his name. The mark of his name and the number of his name go together, pointing to the name of the beast or the character of the beast. They are each different and distinct, giving their own witness towards the name of the beast. We're going to be learning about each of these in this series. We'll unpack the name of the beast, the number of his name, and the mark of his name. So, according to this textual witness, the KJV got it right. The Textus Receptus in Greek got it right. The Sinaiticus got it right. The mark, the name, and the number of the name are three distinct and separate things, but all point to the name or character of the beast. All the other renderings of this text in Greek or in the translations, which are missing the distinctive word or, should be including it. These are three distinct things. Now you know, the mark is distinct from the name, but points to it. The name is distinct from the mark, and the number of the name is distinct, pointing to the name or character of this beast. More on all of this in the upcoming messages in this series. Now we are set to unpack each of these distinct yet related items. You will see that each of them is very important to understand. We'll be looking at them in this series, so stay tuned for the next episodes coming up soon. In our next episode, we'll be looking at the name of the beast. Later, we'll look at the number of his name, and finally, the mark of his name. If you have not yet done so, I recommend you watch my video, Who is the Beast? We will not be able to make sense of these particulars about the name of the beast, the mark of the beast, and the number of his name unless we understand who is the beast. So be sure to check that video out. I'll link it up for you right here so that you can check out who is the beast and be ready, understanding all the identifying points the Bible gives so that we can know who is the beast and then better understand what is his mark, his name, and his number. It's very important that we understand these things because the Bible warns us in the revelation of Jesus Christ that whosoever worships this beast or receives the mark of his name or the number of his name will be lost. Their name will not be in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Revelation 13:8. And also Revelation 14:9 through 11. We definitely need to study and know what our Bibles say in regard to this. Do not be deceived. Satan is deceiving the entire world, and you and I do not want to fall prey to his deceptions. We need to understand what Jesus says in Revelation so that we will not be caught off guard. Please hit like if you found this video helpful. Be sure to comment and share your thoughts. You can also share this video with a friend, and if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe so you'll be ready to receive the upcoming videos in this series and other great Bible content like it. May God richly bless you today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.